let's just get into the show. And of course, I have with us in the studio some very amazing young people. They are immense knowledge of this thing called vehicle. They are young, they are budding, and they've done a whole lot. And of course, they were, while we're kickstarting this show, they were the very first supporters via sponsorship at the other radio station. But of course, I have. If you go through that Lake Expressway, you would have seen them and you know them. Froshtech, you want to introduce yourself to Lagos?
Yeah, a lot of people in Lagos knows me already. So one of my people in Lagos, it's Froshtech in the building. Let's talk about cars. Let's talk about cars.
Okay. And I think I have few.
Yeah, I'm the director of Froshtech Academy, and this is my first time on the show, and I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you very much. It's so good to have you guys. So, do you think this car has an after-sale value, unlike a Toyota Camry?
Oh well, we are talking about Japanese here, and when it comes to Japanese, personally, I choose Toyota over Honda.
Okay.
Not because I get anything from them, but because it's something I have driven, I have felt, and I feel more confident driving a Toyota than Honda, you know. So I would always recommend a Toyota brand, yeah.
Okay. So I'm sure engineering Chris has a divergent opinion always, because me, I know that if you go and buy this car,
Yeah.
compared to a Muscle, that car will stay longer, and then the movement of that car as to selling a Camry.
Let me tell you, I disagree with both of you.
Okay, tell us, sir.
And this is the truth.
Okay.
This is Southwest. In the northern Nigeria, they prefer Honda to any Toyota.
Of course, we know, but I'm talking about
Finally,
here in the south.
Let me tell you, I've always told you this on this program. There is no vehicle that does not have a second-hand value.
Hey, but like we should put it down and put the Camry down, put this car. Which one would put
The last 2-3 months of my business, right? I have supplied Honda more than Toyota.
Engineer, that's if you do a sample of 5 Nigerians out of 10.
Every Nigeria have. See, we've been cloned.
Southwest.
We've been cloned with this car called Toyota.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you the truth. See, it's because you have after-sales spare parts. That's why every Nigeria prefer Toyota.
Okay, you know, we're actually comparing a Japanese to a Japan. If we're comparing a Japanese to another brand, it would have been a different cable.
Okay.
We are comparing both Japanese brands, which are actually very good.
Correct.
Both are good. But personally, I'm saying that I would always pick a Toyota over a Honda because I have driven.
Yes.
I have felt it.
Correct.
And I know what I'm talking about. I have fixed also.
Correct.
You know, yeah.
This is it. Honda, right, has the first ULEV product among all Japanese vehicles.
Correct.
Do you get my point? You cannot compare the fuel consumption of Honda and Toyota. Do you know what I'm saying? When we talk about suspension, Honda comes with reclined suspension and Toyota comes with uplift suspension. These are the things people don't understand. Me, I will talk from the technical aspect because that has been my life. Do you understand? Everybody have money, they want to go and buy Toyota. And now look at it.
But engineer, look at this. Tell us. So I like what you said. You've got the technical part.
Yes.
This
is a stronger vehicle than a
RAV4. Okay, I'm not talking about strong. We've not gotten to the part of.
Okay, yeah, because we are comparing a CRV and equivalent vehicle to is it a Camry?
No, I'm just comparing to a Camry.
Yeah, no, let's compare both equivalent. CRV and RAV4 is the same body shape and the same body size.
The same shape, the same look.
Exactly.
The same different fire.
No, but
so let's look at different price.
So a RAV4 is extremely expensive.
Yeah,
so you are going to compare for pricing sake. You are going. So let's look at it. What side by side?
Yes.
CRV and Camry. Now, CRV gives you more prestige. I'm going to talk about the psychography of the person that wants to buy. Why he's going to buy. So he's going to look at it that CRV is going to give me more prestige because it's a mini SUV.
Sure,
I can take it to areas that are topsy-turvy, swampy. Thank you, Phil.
Yeah.
And what else? Yeah, it can give me that prestige, like I said. So, and it's a 4-cylinder. This particular
the two vehicle are 4-cylinder.
4 cylinders, good.
Yeah.
So, if you're talking about fuel consumption, it's not going to take a lot of fuel.
Okay.
But we then now look at it side by side. Strength. Do you think that the Camry is stronger than this particular?
For me, and I will tell you and I'll repeat it. It's not because the Camry is stronger, neither because it's faster.
No, so the other means that you have admitted and agreed that Camry is stronger than
No.
But that's exactly what you're saying.
You get my point? I never says, if you look at the two vehicles, the CRV is 310 horsepower and Camry is 271 or 261 horsepower.
Meaning,
Do you get my point? The engine capacity,
Engine capacity is
the
what we're
speed,
talking
the
about.
power, the
0 to
torque.
60, the Honda is bigger than the Toyota Camry.
This is why I didn't want to compare Camry to a CRV, you know, because if
no,
I'm going
because
to
it's the price. So if you look at it, we're looking now right now. Most people can't afford. I like us when it comes to the auto review. Engineer knows on the auto review segment, we like using vehicles that Nigerians know.
No,
so
okay.
we don't bring 75 million naira cars because how many people have? So let's talk about everyday cars. So the everyday car and the thing that this particular segment of the show helps people's buying decision. So somebody is listening and is thinking that okay, what should I if I'm going to buy Camry and buy CRV?
Yeah.
What is the advantage? I like the fact that
Okay, so if we're talking about the aspects of purchase, yeah. So personally, because I am also a consultant, when people consult, Frush, I want to get a car, and what car do you? The very first question I ask is, what are you buying it for? Let's say the person is a business person and he carry goods and services. Sometimes I would recommend if he gave me two options, like we are talking about the Camry
CRV
and the CRV. I'm no longer going to be looking at because I like the Camry or because it's what is my favorite Japanese vehicle. I will now start looking at the capacity, what the durability, what can this car carry for you, the goods, what can it carry. So these are the things we have to look out for. It's not just about the repair now, it's about how this vehicle is going to serve you, you know. So that is one thing, the very first question I ask.
okay. Exactly. You're talking.
Great. And for the after sales too, especially knowing that this vehicle is a Nigerian use, Nigerians will always pick the Camry over the Honda. So I would say the Camry is a go for me.
You win.
Yeah, you might have your opinion against that, but this is my
of course, it's not an issue. Yeah, everybody is free to their
so I would advise the guy to go for Camry any day.
Camry.
Yeah.
Okay then. Engineer Taufik,
To service your engine oil. Now the reason is these oils are produced with chemicals and minerals, and over time they collect dirt, they collect metals in the engine, and if you don't service that engine, those dirt and those things, the filter is taking those things and holding it up, and over time, because it is getting clogged or blocked, it will start reducing the pressure of the oil that is going into the system, you know. And another thing is the way they accelerate. Some people accelerate aggressively. You wouldn't even care about the engine of the vehicle, you
I
know.
didn't know that.
So that is another thing that also contributes to that, you know. So
Okay. I wish Engineer Taufik was here to take our questions, but of course, we'll be waiting. Odiwe Godwin joined us live on Instagram. Thank you. As you join, please.
The case of just maybe tune up or other things, but you mentioned that the car revs up to 3,000 miles and more. So that means you could also have a problem with your transmission.
Okay.
So it's necessary that you scan the transmission, check if there's any trouble codes. Then if that's not the case, then you're supposed to recommend a tune-up service. Check your fuel pump, check if they use the correct spark plug, ignition coils,
okay, Mr. Phil, that's true to an extent, but at the same time, you know that it's the engine that is producing the power to move the transmission. So there are cases where it will be because now you're accelerating, you are pushing this car, move now. Why are you not moving, right? And the RPM is high, but there's an hesitation that some people, they tend to misdiagnose this and start thinking it's the transmission. But you have to look at what is generating the power to move the transmission first. So you have to look at the engine, check your air filters if they are blocked, check your spark plug if the electrode are still intact, if the gap is very important. You also check your injector nozzle. You know, after your injector nozzle sprays for it, still leaves a small particle of fuel that will be at a point starts forming carbon and blocking. So that is what we call tune-up service, like he said. So I just wanted to correct that.
Yeah.
Before you look at the transmission, look at the engine first that is generating the power.
Okay.
Like what he said. He said they should diagnose the car first.
Yeah.
Which is
You
very
see,
important.
Incomplete combustion can make your car drive at 3,000, 4,000 RPM.
Yeah.
Once it comes to engine performance. Do you understand? But the best bet is when the vehicle is being diagnosed, they should do a comprehensive diagnosis for the vehicle. And now, after the diagnosis, you get all the error, let them do a comprehensive calibration for it. So after doing the calibration, they now drive this car for like 15 minutes. If they have a test, a test drive in their workshop that they can test the car on the test drive base, fine, excellent. But if they don't have, let them put it on the road and do 1,000, 2,000 RPM, return the car back to the workshop and re-diagnose the car. So you now get those errors. In these errors, if you're doing a comprehensive diagnostics, you already have like 10 different errors. Do you get my point? And you have those snapshots of those errors in your report sheet that you want to present. So by the time you now do calibration, you see that the 10 errors you have will now be left for 4 errors. So those 4 errors will now tell you is either you concentrate on the engine or you concentrate on the transmission.
Okay. Engineer, let's not give them join us live. Thank you. Tobiano, _DC. Thank you for joining us live on Instagram. So let me go to this question. Why does a car lose power but the engine is still then running? You know, what could be the cause of that?
Yes, so for an engine to run effectively, we need 4 things. We need the spark, we need the fuel, we need compression, and we need what's the last thing? We need fuel, air, compression, and spark. So we might be getting these 4 things, but if one is not enough, it can cause loss of power. That does not mean the engine should not start or the engine should not run, right? So like he said, he has mentioned before that if you're having low pressure in fuel, let's say the injector is not getting enough pressure to spray the amount of fuel that they need. That does not mean the engine is not going to run. The engine is still going to run, but then it's going to hesitate, but then it's going to misfire. So the 4 things will be there, but when we're having one thing missing, it will cause misfire. Let's say another example is we have, let's say for example, a 4-cylinder engine. We have 4 plugs, we have 4 coils, and now one coil is bad. That does not mean the engine is not going to run. It's running on 3, but it's unstable because there is one thing missing. Yeah.
Okay. Do we have? I don't know.
Key is what's it called? How do I explain this as you can understand? The loss of power can make his engine shake when he's driving. When, like what Froshtech says, when one of your coil is is bad, your engine will drive. If you're driving a 4-cylinder, like him, he's driving MDS.
6-cylinder.
It's 6-cylinder. So if one of the coil is bad, he will experience shaking when he's driving. He will experience jam.
I would like to add to that.
Good. And if he's transmitting gear from another gear to another one and he's experiencing surging, good. That he needs to gauge his transmission oil first. If he's below the normal gauge, if the gear is transmitting from 1 to 2 or 2 to 3, he's going to experience surge.
So there is something he said. He said after it drives for a while. So that means this engine have gotten very hot. Remember, your ignition coil has coils in it, right?
Correct.
And when this thing has gotten very hot, because the coil is weak, it might start misbehaving. Another thing you can look out for is your fuel pump.
Correct.
The pump has worked for a while and now it has reduced pressure.
Yeah.
So these are things. So it's always important to take your vehicle for proper diagnosis to know exactly what you need to replace, so you don't end up replacing parts unnecessarily.
Okay, so we need to round up the show. I really appreciate you guys for listening and thank you very much. You could come to the makeshift workshop on Saturday. Call me on after the show 00-944-967-86, and of course you can find Engineer Taufik at Autotronic Tips on Instagram. Froshtech can be found at Froshtech on Instagram, and Engineer Increase can be found at radio _mechanic.
You can also find Froshtech Academy on Instagram.
Academy. Okay, that will be the size of the show. Till we meet again next week. Thank you very much. You can find me also at Adisa D Enigma on Instagram and Twitter. Till we meet again next week. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, Lagos.